I do want to bring up something because I knew people would lose their minds when I said this yesterday, but I don't care. I just give my opinions, and if you like it, you like it. You don't, you don't. Anyway, we can't play the clip, unfortunately, but yesterday I said on the show that, let's face it, the best case scenario for the Browns is to finish with the worst record in football and get the first pick of the draft. Not that it's a guarantee you're going to get a great quarterback or whatever, but the higher you're picking, the better your odds of getting the next great quarterback. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. Now, obviously, the real best case scenario is that one of these quarterbacks ends up being a franchise quarterback, but I'm not looking at that as realistic. So I said the best case scenario, realistic-wise, is they stink. And I know that would – listen, I get it. It would suck. It would, as a fan, you don't want your team to lose. I totally understand that. The team stinks. If the team stinks, it's not fun. It's a wasted season. It would be terrible. But it's hard to deny that in the long term for this franchise, if you don't believe they can be very good this year, and I don't believe they can be very good, then it's better for them to lose. But obviously, people got mad at me for saying this. A number of people said, gee, Bush, how do you let Bull say this? So since you weren't here yesterday, I thought you should be first to go to shut me up about it being the best case scenario for the Browns to finish the worst record in the long term.
First and foremost, like I got to send a disclaimer.
Yeah.
I'm not a guard dog. Like, I'm not the keeper of all truth and knowledge. At the end of the day, bro, like, people they got their own opinions. This is what makes the show. Bull got his opinion. Zach got his opinion. Jason got his opinion. Jake definitely got an opinion. Tyvis got opinions. Everybody got opinions. So, you know, I'm not waking up on my day off to be like, oh, let's see what Bull said today.
Yeah.
Now, does that mean that you wasn't out of pocket? Of course it don't. You was kind of out of pocket. And the reason is why. We can all have our thoughts about whether or not somebody's going to be good or not. But the thing that we understand in Cleveland, Ohio is this. The Cleveland Browns have been losing for decades. Mm-hmm. And there's people that have gone to Browns games with their loved ones and they have passed away. And then you get to a point where I used to watch the games with my grandfather and he passed away. I watched the games with my father all the time. He's old. He's in his 70s. And there would have never been a time when I would have thought that we would have never got to a point where you never seen the Cleveland Browns even make a Super Bowl or be close to one. The problem that people have and the energy and why they're so upset is because we've been doing this for not just 10 years, not just 12 years. If you're a Browns fan, there is no other fan base that has had what we had. No other, even the bad teams. Nobody took your team. Nobody stripped it away and gave it back to you as a half-baked idea of a new team. So, yes, we got trauma when it comes to that. We've been through the 1-31 where we lost and went 0-17 to get certain players. And then those players didn't pan out. And we are still here. So every Browns fan just wants to get to Sundays and make their Sundays enjoyable. All they want to do is get some news about the young players or have hope to see what's going to go on. We get the fact that the quarterback situation ain't the greatest in the world, but at the end of the day, our job is to give people what we see. Our job is to give people the X's and O's and to give them a vision of what the Cleveland Browns could be. I'm not saying sugarcoat nothing. I'm not going, because if they play bad, I always say they play bad, or I'm going to get on them. But the thing that we need and what people is wanting is we know that we got one position that is a very important position in quarterback, but we also have a lot of other things, a new head coach, new young guys. And if you think the best way to win is to lose, it never works that way, because when you lose and there's collateral damage involved, not only are you losing, the guys that are in the locker room now come to think of their team as losers. They start doing the bad habits. They don't push harder. Guys come here, cash checks. People come in here to get a free agency and get money and leave. They don't take our stuff serious. So in order to be a serious organization, yes, you need a quarterback, but you sure as hell can't have the mentality that we're going to lose our way to the top. Because look at the Philadelphia 76ers. Trust the process. I ain't seen it work once. So for me, yes, we need a quarterback, but at the end of the day, losing is unacceptable at any level.
Now, listen, am I saying the team? I'm certainly not saying the team should want to lose, that the players should want to lose. Of course not. I get what you're saying. And ultimately, I don't think the Browns will be the worst team in football. They'll probably, be the 5th to 8th worst team in football. I'm just saying, those last 2 wins at the end of last year did nothing for the Browns. They didn't help them. There's no momentum being built for this year off of those 2 wins.
Sure it does.
No, it doesn't. They fired the coach. They're going to win more games this year because of those 2 wins? I don't buy that for a second.
Because they fired the coach because he should have got fired.
Fine, but there's not going to be momentum. I'm not disagreeing, but there's not a momentum built off of that.
It ain't about momentum. It's character. It's a difference between character and momentum. Momentum is some make-believe things that you talk about.
Yeah.
Character is, do guys have it in them to go out there and play their ass off if they know there is no playoffs, there is no Pro Bowls, there's none of that. They still built character to say, I'm going to go out and play these teams against a really good team. Like, if you're going to look at it and you say, we played the Bengals with their full offense. We played guys that have Super Bowl aspirations, and we had nothing to play for, but we still came out there with backups and we won. That creates character, because those guys I know that was at least on that field, at least when it get tough, they're not going to quit. And you need that character in order to be able to play in a series and to play in a system and to play in a league that has you with a deficit in talent. You got to have guys playing hard all the time.
Gee, the Bengals, the year, and for all and then we'll wrap it up. And for the year before the Bengals got Joe Burrow, right? The first pick in the draft was still in doubt going into the last week of the season.
Mm-hmm.
You think the Bengals were better off losing that game, or would they have been better off winning that game to build character?
Well,
if they now would have had Tua instead of Joe Burrow, where would they be?
Well, it happened the way it was going to happen.
Well, that's all I'm saying. Am I saying that the Browns players should want to lose? Of course not. I'm just saying, in the end, I'd rather the Browns have the first pick in the draft next year than the 6th pick.
And what I'm saying is, you can have the first pick. And I'd rather my team have the character to understand that some 18 to 24-year-old kid that's coming out of college is not your savior. That's not going to help you block, tackle, get special teams correct. Yes, you can look at the teams and say, oh, well, we got the quarterback. But guess what? That's a 3 to 4 year process.
No, I don't agree with that. Oh. No. The Browns have good talent in certain spots, which is why ultimately they're probably not going to be the worst team in the league.
Okay.
But a quarterback, if you really get a special quarterback,
okay,
you could turn it around right away, especially if there's talent around them. If this team had one of the 10 best quarterbacks in the league, would you be picking them to go to the playoffs? I probably would.
It's generally the 10 teams you pick to go to the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. That's all I'm saying.
No,
by the way, a lot of fans agreed with me. Part of the reason people get mad is because they pull this nonsense that, I want the Browns to lose because I'm rooting for the Bengals. I wanted the Bengals to lose to get Joe Burrow. There's no difference. All I'm saying is, I'd rather the Browns have the first pick in the draft than the 6th. That's it. I get all you're saying about character. Yes, you don't want to become consistent losing, and that's what the Browns have been, and they've blown draft picks before. But ultimately, until they get a quarterback that's just so good they can play.
We got to go, but yeah. I just think that we do a disservice to diminish the entire team down to whether you have a quarterback or not. Because guess what? You're going to need all those players to do something in order for that quarterback to get here. So that's my theory.
Yeah. One thought before we talk about the day's events. We've had this day, August 20th, circled because it's the joint practice.
Yeah.
Right? If we're having this discussion on August 20th and you both make a fair point, it probably says we're going to be having this discussion on November 20th. We don't know. You never know in the National Football League, but it's certainly something to bookmark and come back to.
Absolutely. All right, Zach, let's get to what we're expecting today. Obviously, both quarterbacks played in the first preseason game. Neither played great. Neither was terrible, I guess. Mm-hmm. Now they're going to have an opportunity to go up against a team. Today, they're only doing one day. In the past, they've done two. What are your expectations for today?
Well, I think the expectations are to really judge this team. This is probably the only time that a lot of these guys are going to face another team's ones this preseason.
Right.
I mean, I don't know how many of the Patriots are going to play next week, but we know the starters for each team aren't playing this Saturday.
Yeah.
The Bears had a handful of guys last week, and the Browns' full starters only played 2 series. So you're going to get a look at this, and you have last week's experience. It should look a little better now that we're into late August than it did a couple of weeks ago. Right? So it's interesting that in the 10-play sets, he says he's going to shift the quarterbacks after 5 plays. because building momentum. But there
Right.
will be sessions late in practice where he's going to have to choose which quarterback is out there, like a 6-play, 8-play, move the ball
Right.
period. So it's the first time they're going to see an odd front, a 3-4 base defense. It's the first time they're going to see in a practice setting anybody wearing a different helmet. So there's a different level of intensity to it. And even though I believe that the quarterback competition has mostly been decided, I don't think it's fully over. And I do think there is some level of intrigue here, especially as many young guys as the Browns have, that today is a day to prove something and show something internally and externally against a team that is Super Bowl or bust.
Yes.
So you have two polar opposites here.
Yeah.
So you got a lot of differences today that just make it compelling. We don't know until we see it what it really means in terms of how we evaluate or how the team evaluates. But I certainly think that this is an interesting and important day for a young Cleveland Browns team.
G, specifically with the quarterback situation, unlike last year, Shedeur Sanders has been given a fair crack at this starting job. They've battled. Deshaun Watson got the first crack with the first team in the first preseason game. Shedeur will get it in the second game, although I think a lot of the other starters, as you said, are probably not going to play. What do you make specifically of the quarterbacks competition, and what do you expect to see today?
So, I was talking to Zach a little bit before we got on air and talking about the way this thing is going to be structured. So from a strictly football standpoint in the quarterback competition, this is actually, to me, probably the most important day. Because Today.
Yeah.
Because practice, when you're practicing against your squad or your team, they know your plays. You've been practicing. They know your tells. They know your signs. They know all that. So this is the first time they're going to get an opportunity to go against another grown group of men that have a plan, that got a different defense, and that's going to give you different looks and different things like that. So a lot of what we saw in the scrimmage and the preseason is going to be different. The intensity is different. The looks are different. The way that they're going to go about, making reads and doing certain things under real duress and pressure is different. So I want to get an opportunity to see what Deshaun Watson does against those guys. I want to see what Shedeur Sanders does against those guys. And Zach said it. I do think right now, if you would have asked me, Todd Monken probably is leaning towards to Deshaun Watson. And I think he's leaning towards Deshaun Watson because of just the way he can articulate and explain the game. I'll give it to you a reason like this. Hey, if you're on a whiteboard and he's sitting there talking about X22 jet Y suite, right? And Todd Monken says, all right, Deshaun, go diagram that up. Deshaun going to go up there and say, okay, well, in this play in Houston, we used to diagram this from left to right. So if I got cover 2 on this side, this is my first read. If I got cover 2 or bracket coverage over there, cover 3 over here, I'm going to go a different way. So my first read from left to right is boom, 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 boom. Now, I'm thinking like this, if that corner squats early, I'm thinking that this route is open. So when being a veteran in 10 years into the game, he gives the coach an opportunity to see the game. So when you speak in a game like that, it'd be like, oh, well, snaps. This dude really know his stuff. Now you get Shedeur up there. He playing for 7 games last year. Say, Shedeur, where you going with that same play? He may say, yeah, well, I looked over here to the left, and I saw this, and then but the safety move, so I just felt like I should have went to the other side, but I ended up making it right. I mean, I thought I did it pretty good. So. He's not like he's saying anything's different, but he just can't articulate it in a way, on a level that Deshaun Watson can. So what it does is gives the coach confidence and say, okay, well, I think 4 gives me the best chance. But the thing is, when you talk about playing, it's about plays. Deshaun Watson can give you that stuff on the outside. What I'm seeing today is I'm looking forward to seeing if you're going to make them reads over the middle. Can you make the reads besides the deep comebacks and the out routes and things like that? Can you throw those skinny posts? Can you look a guy off and then come back in zone over the middle? Those are the things I'm looking. And for Shedeur Sanders, I'm looking for, hey, can you handle the pressure? Can you get teams in the right play? Is it not sloppy? And Zach, if you can make it not sloppy,
That's right.
then all of a sudden, you're like, well, I know he can make plays. It gives Todd Monken a little thing in his head, like, well, if I can still get the playmaking, plus I can get the pre-snap stuff, this thing a little closer than we thought.
Is today the last day for Shedeur to win the job, or is it Saturday?
I think today is the biggest of the last days.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
I think more than anything, Bull, it's one day, it's one practice.
Yeah.
It's one of a bunch, right?
Yeah.
But like guys in practice, not only are they tired at this point, and not only are they cranky and pissy, and we saw that the other day, But they know what's coming. The defense knows what's coming. They've run the same. It's been an offensive install. They've run the same plays over and over again. Today, you get a defense that at least at first doesn't know what's coming. You get to challenge them in different ways. You get to, after you take that layup because it's open, the second time, are you taking the same one or you challenge them the other way? So it is a completely different evaluation of the quarterbacks from that standpoint.
I said earlier that, not that it's owed. I mean, most NFL players will tell you nobody's owed a fair shot. That's not the way it works. However, it was obviously talked about a lot that Shedeur wasn't given a fair shot. And fair or not, that's true. He wasn't given an equal shot. We understand that. But this year, I believe he's been given a fair shot. Do you guys agree?
Yeah, look, this is not last year. I tell people all the time, this is not the same as last year. Last year was like, it was painfully obvious. It was like they have no plans for this. Ain't it? I look at it, and Todd Monken said, look, hey, the rep's not going to be like 1,000% even when it comes to it. So people was a little upset. And I said, hey, look, when he took the quote unquote, switched the game plan up and took the reps from Shedeur and gave it to Deshaun because he said the rep count was off. I told people like this, Shedeur Sanders got a great opportunity. He can go out here in these practice. He's going to split these reps. When you come out here and practice, kill it. That's what you do. You got an opportunity to come out here against the Buffalo Bills, start in front of your home fans with guys that is on your football team. You got that opportunity, kill it. The only thing you can do is prepare and to put your best foot forward when you get your chance and to prove what you've already learned and worked on. The biggest thing for Shedeur is not Shedeur versus Deshaun. It's the growth and maturity and understanding, okay, this is what they want to work with me on. This is what they want to see for me to have confidence in my ability to go out there and lead the team. And if I can continue to stack days and continue to stack, I'm trying to put a doubt in your mind, because if Deshaun Watson starts the season and he's faltering, not doing what he's supposed to do,
or gets hurt,
you better be ready so you ain't got to get ready. So right now, for me, long story short, is yes, he's getting an opportunity. If it wasn't fair, hey, guess what? He wouldn't be starting. They let Dylan Gabriel start this game. So get your money off.
Absolutely, yes. 15 spring practices. Today's practice 18 at training camp. They've alternated except for one day. Out of 30-some practices. He's gotten a fair chance. He's been here. Everybody's been in the install meetings. Everybody was in the off-season program. Everybody's gone through everything, right? It's been a fair competition. I don't think anybody's won it. I think it's mostly gone how most of us thought that it would. I don't think Shedeur has gone and claimed the job by himself. And if that's what he had to do, then he hasn't done that. We'll see what happens today. We'll see what happens Saturday. We'll certainly see what happens in the season. I still think Shedeur is going to start the most games, but I absolutely think this year he got a fair crack at the job. We'll see where it goes from here.
And I think and by the way, I think he's improved. I think he's improved greatly. If you go back and watch the film, me and Tyvis will be doing film today today. It's about 6. If you watch the film, his feet look more calm. His presence is there. In the pocket, he knows where he wants to go with the football. Now, execution is the name of the game. That's just what you need to do in your production. But some of the things I saw last year in film versus this year, he's gotten tremendously better at, and especially when it comes to the pocket presence and understanding I need to escape through the pocket, whether behind the pocket. All those things are stuff that he continues to need to work on, but I'm encouraged by his just progression, and he can still stack some days together. And today, go out there and put it on. I'm gonna tell you, you do it against another team. That's gonna raise because them plays is gonna stick in the coach's mind. This is what they're looking at.
I know, Zach, when you were on with me yesterday on my podcast, you said you think they'll name the starter on Monday.
Yeah.
You still?
Yeah, I think that's been the goal all along. So I don't think he's locked into it, and he's kind of made that clear. But pretty much everything they followed or wanted to do is tracked, except for the one day, and they didn't have a good explanation for that. But they've laid out how it was going to be, how they wanted to do things. Right. Today is a different practice, but it's just one. Saturday is a different situation, but it's just one. That'll be the third or fourth different situation we've seen. It's time to make the decision. Sunday is 3 weeks from the opener. They only have 2 practices next week as they shift out of training camp mode and start to wind this down, and then they have 2 weeks to get ready. So it's time to make it. So I'm almost sure that the decision's coming by Monday, but I don't know. There is some layer to these next few days that are of interest, intrigue, however you want to say it.
I think we talked about this yesterday. I can't remember for sure, but I think if Deshaun Watson does not play on Saturday,
that's a tell.
That's it.
Yeah.
That answers the question. Do you guys agree with that?
Yes.
Well, I said that earlier this week. I said when he said well, Deshaun's going to play in the third quarter. I said, well, how you going to say he's going to play in the third quarter when you said that the starters is not even going to play if they get the work in that they need? Mm-hmm. Now, here's the problem I have, or not even a problem. Here's just what the talking points will be if I get my crystal ball out. If we go to practice and Deshaun looks bad against the Bills, okay, Shedeur looks decent, right? Looks decent. Then Shedeur comes back, looks really good in his drives, puts points on the board in the game. And then Deshaun doesn't play. What's going to happen is you're left with two performances just sitting right here in the back of your mind. Because you're going to be like, dang, he wasn't looking good in practice, and he got the most reps there. Yeah. And then Shedeur comes in and plays and lights it up. And now people are saying, well, dang, look at this deep ball. Look at this throw over here. Look at this touchdown. And now you have to deal with saying to yourself, okay, we thought that this was going to be a foregone conclusion. We're going to come back to Monday and name the starter. But if the last two times we saw Deshaun Watson, it didn't look that good and it's a long weekend, you put pressure on yourself because then you're going to have to go back and then justify, right? So if you don't think about
it. He will. He'll have to. He may not care that he has to, but he will have to.
And then the question is, okay, well, if Deshaun don't play in the second preseason game, and then there's a third preseason game, does that mean Shedeur is playing?
Yeah, that's what all this.
Right. So so now you got a performance against the Bills. Yeah. You got another performance. What if he looks good in that performance? Right. Then you have to roll Deshaun out.
As it lays out, Shedeur split today for the most part. Shedeur for the first half, then Deshaun on, and then next week dress rehearsal, I believe, is what he wants to do. Play the starters a quarter and a half-ish and go forward. If there's any change in that, then our radar's up. Like what's really going on, and it could be that it's decided, or it could be that it's open. But that's what he wants to do.
That's right. If I were Todd Monken and I was not sure yet, but leaning towards Watson, I wouldn't be. But if I were him, I'm trying to be in it. And if I were leaning that way, I would tell Watson, hey, I'm planning to play you in the second half. However, let's say it doesn't go that way. Let's say Watson outplays Shedeur today.
Right.
Let's say Shedeur does not play particularly well against Buffalo. At that point, I might say, you know what?
Sure.
Forget it. We're not going to put you in.
Right.
But yeah, you don't want to be in a scenario where, let's say Deshaun's terrible today, and then Saturday, Shedeur does ball out to start the game, and you're having second thoughts. You don't want to now tell Watson, oh, you got to play, even when you already told him he's not. So if I were him, I'd have Watson prepared to play with the option of maybe not playing.
I would. That is sound advice. I would do that too because it'll seem like you just dangling and carrying and taking it back. Like chill out. You the starter, but then Shedeur balls and it's like, I need to see a little more.
Yeah, right.
30 years of the Cleveland Browns summed up like this. Hello, head coach. Your plan A sounds great, but get plan D, E, and F ready.